All right, my friends, here we are, man. It's Tuesday. And on Tuesdays, we analyze the lyric. We take a song out there in the secular world and we open it up, have a discussion about things regarding what is written in the song and about the artist and the performers and, well, just anything. We're just having a conversation about music, really. And we choose a song, and here we go. This is what we're doing. Stefan Maillet with you. AddedSouls.com is the website. I labor alongside the East Coast Church of Christ over here on the East Coast of Canada. And I encourage you to check out the .com, eastcoastchurchofchrist.com, and our Facebook page, East Coast Church of Christ. So we want to talk about a song from Black Sabbath. Dung, dung, dung. Yeah. And the song title is called Under the Sun / something else. Every day comes and goes. And it's, I believe, one of the last songs on the Volume 4 album. The Volume 4 album from Black Sabbath was not my introduction to the Sabbath realm and discography. It was, along with a great many others, I think, Paranoid, the album Paranoid. And from Paranoid, I think I went to the self-titled Black Sabbath, with that kind of occultish witch there on the cover. And I think after that, I migrated over to Volume 4. Back then, the cassettes, right? Well, it began with the records. Mom had, I think, the Black Sabbath Paranoid record, and I listened to it, and I was like, yep, this is it. And then the cassettes came in, and there was a secondhand store location in the city where you could go to purchase, cassettes that had been pawned off or whatever, and you had all the Black Sabbaths there. So one after the other, saving a few of my bucks and going there. And back then you could get these cassettes, I don't know, $7.50 or $8.99 or something. And I think it was the third album, if I'm not mistaken, in my Black Sabbath listening years that was inserted into my history of music listening. And of course I was, once I had heard Paranoid and the album, I was like, yeah, I'm sold. This is it. This sounds exactly what I want it to sound like. It's just bringing in this wave and in a youth, in a rebellion. It's the kind of music that will charm you into all sorts of, I am my own person and I want to do what I want to do in life. No one's going to tell me otherwise. And that kind of appeal, of course, is a great temptation on our youth. And not understanding everything and everything going on in life, you kind of just cling to certain things that make sense to you. And Black Sabbath Volume 4 made sense to me. And, now I listen to it, of course, with a much different mind and a much different outlook in life. And I'm just thankful to God that I've been allowed to live long enough to see things quite differently now. But nonetheless, it had that doom kind of heavy metal, as it is so described in the modules of the metal world and the rock world. But it had this unique sound that Sabbath, of course, held on to, or some say may have perfected from others prior to them. Whatever, there's still a gray area of conversation there, but yeah, Volume 4 was a strong one for me, from the beginning to the end. And I didn't, it was kind of difficult to choose one of the tracks, but I went with Under the Sun. And Under the Sun, of course, you have to put yourself in the context of these individuals, these youth, during the era they walked the earth, in a geographical location, and what was taking place there. What were the oppressions, or what were what was the socio-political turmoil of the day? What was the religion they were handed down? All of this play a part, from what they were seeing politically, from what they were seeing religiously, from what they wanted to do. It's all of that plays factor to their decisions and the kind of music they chose to play and perform, and that's important if you want to kind of make sense of it, if you want to analyze the track accordingly. I've looked into various locations in articles, not much really, other than the very obvious in this lyric, kind of like The band was saying to the world, hey, listen, we don't want to be influenced by any political persuasion. We don't want to be influenced by religious creatures that, have this hyper self-righteous hypocrisy. And we don't want to, my mind is not for rent to any god or government, Rush would say. But that kind of rebellious mind and youth was certainly part of the lyrical fiasco and the poetry of its charm therein. And we're just going to put that up on the screen. We'll have a conversation about it. We'll talk about it. A bit of housekeeping, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, drop a comment, all that kind of good stuff. If you interact with the content and material, it'll help find others like you and I who may, have utility in our faith this day and hour by having these conversations. I mean, it's here. I mean, we as Christians, of course, are no longer in fellowship with the deeds of darkness, if you will, that are found all around. But we live here on this earth. We experience this physical existence, and we have to learn not to fear what needs not be feared. And the way you embrace that courage is by understanding. We, the rebellious youth, the disposable teens, as Marilyn Manson would so coin, we have a voice, we have things running around in our mind, and it's usually a trickle-down or lowering lawless effect that comes from the household or comes from the environment in the community, and we just a reflection of it or a opposition to it. And when you understand the music that we grew up listening to, or we individuals still listen to, I mean, Sabbath is what you call shelf life music. It'll never expire. There'll always be a teenager out there who just feels the world don't understand him. Mom and dad don't understand. If he has now a mom and dad. I mean, nowadays it could be mom or dad, or absolutely no one. And she feels the need to, express themselves in a certain way because, well, nobody understands me. But they find understanding in certain lyrics or in certain kind of music, emotional and music investments. And the more we understand that, the more we become approachable to them, and the more we can have a conversation and be like, oh, dude, you understand what's going on? Yeah, because I've been you. I have been you. Can't you see the scars? I've been there. I understand what that looks like, what that means, and the emotion that is deeply tied with certain songs. And in my rebellious youth, of course, this song definitely was part of the repertoire of my thoughts. I want to be left alone. I want to do what I want to do. I like doing what I want to do. Now, to a certain perspective, of course, there is truth to that. You should be able to do what you want to do in life. I mean, the freedom that we have and things to, we should be allowed to freely speak and do things that would not, of course, physically hurt another individual or promote or bring forth something that would hurt another individual physically or mentally, if you will, in certain ways. But yeah, Sabbath played a pretty powerful part in my life, in my upbringing. It was part of my music catalog, and it found its place there in many experiences we had in our rebellious days, which was to, of course, find the excess of lawlessness. And we needed soundtracks to the excess of our lawlessness. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And everything else in that would fall in that category. And Black Sabbath certainly had some amplified expressions to that end. Don't listen to socio-political powers. It's anti-law and rule. It's anti things that would be upright or that would seek to diminish our ability to just do what we want to do. Well, it's a youth in darkness, a youth in rebellion. Is it possible to appreciate or enjoy the music and the delivery therein without participating or having the thought that that is now the worldview we live. Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if not, what are you going to do? You're going to hide under the couch or hide under the bed? Some Christians think that's what they need to do. I need to hide under the bed and just don't come out because bad things are out there. Nor can we fully embrace every single filthy thing that comes out all around us either, saying, well, it's just... So there's kind of like this seasoned, balanced location, a reasonable location where we can find ourselves, I suppose, within the boundaries of our scruples and conscience, things like that. And to that end, yeah, Black Sabbath's lyrics to play Under the Sun and every day comes and goes. It's kind of like, because this song is sectioned in two modules or two categories, and it's the same song, if you will, but it changes and it's put together. And Sabbath had several of those things on their records. They'd have like it's a one track, but it has like two completely different dimensions, two different angles to the emotion or to the delivery of what they were penning down and what they wanted the world to hear. Yeah, so that's why we find ourselves with this one here. Under the Sun, every day comes and goes. I'll pull up the lyrics now on the screen so that we can follow along together here. Where are you? Interview. Yeah, interview mode. There we go. See? Just like that. Black Sabbath lyrics to Under the Sun, every day comes and goes. Now, as far as the sound of it, I'm a fan. I like that strong, deep metal sound. It has that deep doomish kind of sound, and though very primitive, quote unquote primitive in its origins, it had something. It had the it factor. It had the mojo. It had something that, of course, was going to be listened to until this earth finishes. So from that end, that makes sense. Ozzy Osbourne was not the writer of this song. It was, and I of course forget the names now, strangely enough, but yeah, it was the guitarist, I think, that wrote the song there, and they performed it. They wrote it, and they practiced it, and it did what it was supposed to do. So it starts off, and he says, well, I don't want no Jesus freak to tell me what it's all about. No black magician telling me to cast my soul out. Don't believe in violence. I don't even believe in peace. I've opened the door. Now my mind's been released. So you have to set yourself into the mind of a rebellious youth in the 60s and 70s, England, UK, and the turmoil, middle class, lower middle class, hardworking location where, all sorts of things are taking place, and the influence there of the religious ancestries or the religious lineage, certainly strong in the community. It's just what we do. It's part of the tradition. We can't ask questions. We just go and do what we're told to do and believe, that kind of stuff. And basically the only thing you're going to be doing here is working at a factory. There's no really out for you. And it's just, you feel this sense of, you feel a sense of claustrophobia. And I can relate to that. Again, I was born, in a location in nowhere land, and it was an industrial road, and everything up the street was industry, and Dad worked at one of the factories, and a religious worldview was given to us, handed down to us, Catholicism, and that was it. Everybody lived in sin, but they all showed up to mass on Sunday and whatever. Like, it's just a very it just everything about it to me was like, I need to get out of here, man. But I couldn't, because you're snared in this little community mentality, and you want to leave, and you know you should, but you can't, because, well, all your friends are here and family, and but it's working at the factory or working at the farm, and you're a Catholic, and you've already been given what you're going to believe in. You've already been given what kind of socio-political belief or vote you're going to be loyal to, and stuff like that. So for us rebellious youth was like, man, I need to get out of here. I need, like, music for me, and movies, the cinema, and the sound of the tune was kind of my escape. It was kind of like, yeah, this is it. This is what I want to participate in. And so I understood the mentality, of course, of Black Sabbath's early years and the music they were making, and how it was applying to that kind of element, though not in the same geographical location. I still understood being handed down a certain religion in a certain geographical location, where you're going to work at the factory for all your life, and struggle to put food on the table, and that kind of mentality, that kind of worldview. So, of course, with that rebellious thought, like, not true. I mean, you have to understand the perspective from the mind of individuals who don't know Jesus, who don't read the Bible, who've been taught not to trust the Bible to a certain degree, just trust men who claim to be religious leaders. And it's filled with all kinds of don't do this, don't do that. We're never taught the love of Christ or anything about who Jesus truly is in the Bible. This is religion created in the image of men, and then we tagged it as Christianity. And so we don't want that as a rebellious youth. We want none of that. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to participate in those things. I don't want no Jesus freak telling me about what it's all about, what life's all about. I'm tired of it. I want to make life what I want it to be made. I know, and not only from that perspective, but I don't want no black magician telling me to cast my soul out either. I'm tired of being pulled one way or another. It's not like if I'm denying what is light in order to be with darkness or anything. I don't want any part of it. Now, of course, the hypocrisy of it now, knowing truly the position one takes when they are young and rebellious in this way, is quite foolish, because in reality, when the minute you say you do not want Christ, Jesus, you automatically have chosen a side. You're going to have to serve someone, Bob Dylan would tell us, right? It may be the devil or it may be the Lord, but you're going to have to serve somebody. So though the band at this time, young and dumb and filled with drugs and alcohol, and just that rock and roll kind of wanting to be famous life mind and everything around it, thinking, well, just because I say no to Christianity doesn't mean I can't say no to sorcery or the occult or Satanism or black magic or anything else. Like, if I say no to Christianity, I can say no to everything else as well. Well, I know in the realm of subjectivity, sure. I mean, 1 + 1 makes 4, Jello, 3, I don't know, who cares? But in reality, in the objective absolute realm of reality, the minute you reject Jesus, you are already embracing everything else. And it's the same the other way around. The minute you choose to follow Jesus faithfully, the Jesus of the Bible, mind you, not the Jesus that's found out there created in the image of men, but rather the Jesus revealed in the Scripture, the Holy Spirit's literature, you automatically deny everything else. So you're choosing a side. You can't just be like, well, I don't want to do the Jesus thing and I don't want to do the Satan thing either, so therefore I'll just be what I want to be and do what I want to do. No, you've already chosen a side. You've already chosen a side. Now, it took me decades to find that out, to learn that, but it's true. The minute you like, that's how it works. It's the same with anything. In the first century with Christ, if you said, well, I don't want to, we're all brethren here, we're all brothers, so I'm not going to choose a side. I'm not going to choose to side with the Pharisees, nor am I going to choose to side with Jesus. We should just all get along. You've already chosen to be with the Pharisees. Now, you may tell yourself that you haven't chosen a side to appease your guilt, but you've already sided with the Pharisees the minute you said, well, I'm not choosing a side. The minute you said, I'm not choosing a side in regards to Gaius or Demetrius or John in regards to Diotrephes, you've already sided with Diotrephes. Well, I don't feel we should choose a side. You're all brethren. You should just get along. No, you've already chosen a side. Well, I just don't want to mess around with the Jesus stuff, and I don't want to mess around with Satan stuff. You've already chose to side with Satan. It's just the objective, absolute reality of your decision. It just is what it is. Again, even Bob Dylan understood this. You're going to have to serve someone. You can say, I'm not serving anyone but myself. You've already chosen someone. And that's how that works. But at the time, in the age in which this is in the mind of rebellious youth, yeah, man, this is how I feel. I don't want no Jesus freak telling me all about what this life's. I don't want to hear about it. And again, you have to be able to reach these people and be approachable. Why are they saying that? Why is he saying, I don't want no Jesus freak to tell me what it's all about? Because he don't know what Jesus is. he don't know what the whole Jesus Christianity thing is. The only thing he's seen is what he's seen out there, which is not Christianity. It's not the true Jesus of the Bible. He's seen Christianity created in the image of men, which is filled with selfish ambition and hypocrisy, self-righteous indignation, and all kinds of... He sees that as a rebellious youth, and he's like, I don't want that. I want none of that. To which I'd agree with him, by the way. I'd be like, yeah, dude, I'm with you. I agree. Because what you see out there currently masquerading itself as Christianity is not Christianity whatsoever. To actually find the Christ of the Scriptures, you have to allow your mind go further than your current geographical location, which has not, for millennia, taught or understood the true Christ of the Scriptures. So you have to leave the geographical location and find yourself in Jerusalem in the first century, reading the inspired writ in order to truly know who Jesus is and what Christianity is all about and its principles and its structure of love and compassion and forgiveness, rule of law, no doubt, grace. Well, what happens is we don't. So we think Christianity is what everything around us claiming to be Christianity is. So yeah, I don't want no Jesus freak telling me about what it's all about. I don't want none of it. And not only that, I don't want any black magic or magician telling me I have to cast my soul out or something. Like, I don't want none of it. I don't even believe in violence, and I don't even believe in peace. I've opened the door, now my mind's being released. And therein, of course, is the deceit of it all. We think that. We thought that. We were firmly convinced that we were liberated in our rebellion. No, really. Fully convinced. Mom and dad, they're just brainwashed. They're brainwashed by politics and religion. I'm set free from all that. I'm all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, doing what I want to do, which is, of course, hedonism in one aspect and Satanism in the other. It's all about selfishness. And it's destructive. It causes chaos and sorrow and division and all that kind of stuff, riot, and it just ends up being death. But in our minds, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, so on and so forth, we're like, this is it. I've been set free. I don't believe in anything, and I just want to do what I want to do. So I've been set free. The atheistic community calls itself or would describe itself as free thinkers. We've set our mind free. I used to believe those lies as well in my past life, of course, entertaining the godless worldview and whatnot and living according to that worldview. Your mind's not been released. It's actually been shackled in a deep, dark dungeon. Really. Your mind hasn't been set free. You don't even have a mind to think with. Anyways, you're an animal, remember? You're a slave to the dance of your DNA. I don't want to believe in anything. I don't want to follow anyone. I just want to do what I want to do in life. So my mind's been released. No, you've actually driven yourself in a deep, shallow oubliette, galvanized there for eternity. Lying to yourself that you somehow are now set free. No, you're a slave. And even Black Sabbath, who produced this, they know that now. They've lived long enough to know it. Now, they can't promote it all that much, although I've seen Ozzy speak of it numerous times, saying, yeah, I was a slave to alcohol and drugs. Oh, okay, so you were not then set free. You actually drove yourself down in a department of slavery to substance abuse and to destructive practices. And I understand that. I did the same thing. So, yeah, in the rebellious youth, we tend to think, yeah, we're sticking it to the man. Be quiet, mom and dad. This is our time now. And we want to do what we want to do. And we don't want no Jesus stuff. And we don't want no black magic stuff either. We want to do what we want to do. And again, you've already made a decision. And you've shackled yourself down. Well, I don't want no preacher, he says. The lyric continues. I don't want no preacher telling me about the God in the sky. See how the first line here, I don't want no Jesus freak to tell me what it's all about. I don't want no Jesus freak to tell me what life's all about. And I don't want no preacher telling me about the God in the sky. Now you can see how the rebellious youth just cling to that. I used to love that. I sing that very proudly and loudly. Yeah, leave me alone. Leave me alone, all of you. I want to do what I want to do. I hate that I've been born in a system where I'm told I have to work at the factory and I have to be a Catholic and I have to vote liberal. Like that was given to me. You don't have a choice. You can't even speak about it. You've been born here, and what that means is you're going to work at the factory, bust your butt off all day and night to hopefully get a glimpse of food, shelter, and clothing, and you're going to be a Catholic. That's your religious ancestry and loyalty. Don't question it. Don't even think about entertaining questioning it. That's what you are. You work at the factory, you're a Catholic, and you're a liberal. That's it. Oh yeah, well, I don't want no Jesus freak telling me about what it's all about, and I don't want no preacher telling me about the God in the sky, and I don't want any of that. See, it's almost like this organic, natural opposition that's created in the mind of the youth, the rebellious youth, because we don't want none of that. We've seen the lies from it. We've seen the hypocrisy. You think we're blind? You think us kids are blind? We see what's going on. We've been set free. No, we've been shackled under the oppression of substance abuse and self-righteous hypocrisy that's all around, both in the corruption of political realm or religious realm. And we just don't know how to express ourselves. So we think, well, not wanting any of it and just doing what we want to do, then that's liberation. That's liberty. No, dude, we were making a decision that was going to lead us even further down a very dark path. So he continues and says, I don't want no one to tell me where I'm going to go when I die. So I don't want no preacher telling me about a God in the sky, and I don't want to know about where I go when I die. I just want to do what I want to do. I want to live my life. I don't want people telling me what to do. I just believe in myself because no one else is true. He's seen the hypocrisy of all those worldly facets around him, and he don't want none of it, so he makes himself his own God, ultimately. Again, this hedonistic, pagan, heathen, or atheist worldview. We're all a bunch of animals, and I make my own animal myself as a god, and I just want to do what I want to do. And I don't want to hear about no consequences of the afterlife, or I don't want to hear none of those things whatsoever. I just leave me alone, right? The rebellious youth. Every day comes and goes. Every day just comes and goes. Life is one long overdose. People try to rule the nation. I just see through their frustration. I don't want no part of what they're doing. I want to be left alone. I want to do my own little thing. Leave me alone. And you can see, of course, the fight between good and evil within the lyric, obviously. They're fighting against something that they don't understand because it's not been made available around them to be understood. And so a great many times when someone says, I don't want none of that stuff, I agree with them. I'm like, yeah, because the only thing you've ever seen it to be is hypocrisy, a lie. You don't know the truth. The truth sets us free. Truly setting our mind free is with the truth, the objective, absolute reality and purpose of our existence. Yes, of course, there is a higher power. Yes, there is a God in the sky. We say the sky. Well, there is a God. And there is a heaven and hell. And there is things you do on this earth that can lead you to one or the other. Because God has blessed us with free will. But if that reality has not been truly sat down with compassion, with an approachable effort with the rebellious youth, they're not going to know that it exists. So what they think is Christianity is what they see out there in the hypocrisy of the denominational worldview, if you will. So to their rebellious mind, yeah. And of course, we must be held accountable. Even though that is the case, we're not seeking to justify a rebellious worldview and a rebellious practice. Not at all. It's their fault. They're independently accountable, and they should have been seeking the truth. So they are held accountable. They are guilty. All of us are guilty, whether the social construct of our upbringing played a part, a negative part, or not. We attain the age of accountability, and we make a decision. And of course, these young men chose to not have anything to do with Jesus Christ, even though they know not who Jesus is and were never really shown who Jesus was, because they were given a false religious worldview, masquerading itself as Christianity. What we were given as quote-unquote Christianity was truly just idolatry, superstition, myth, and we called it Christianity. Why? Well, because we read certain verses in the Bible and we say it's Jesus, and because I say it's Jesus, it must be, and because I say I'm a Christian, I must be. No, that's invoking one's own religious worldview that has nothing based in true reality of Christianity. So he just says, every day just comes and goes. Life is one long overdose. People try to rule the nation. I just see through their frustration. There's really nothing, Again, it's kind of this nebulous non-existence. I'm just here, and I just want to do what I want to do, and I don't want to follow anyone at any time. But you are. You actually are in reality. It's a sad, morbid way to exist, which is why they were driven by, again, fueled with hardcore narcotics and promiscuous sexual engagements and just nothing truly fulfilling, nothing purpose-driven, nothing that brings a real content and joy in life. Your mind's been set free. No, dude, it's been shackled, and you are being oppressed by a heavy-handed tyrant, the devil, the devil's influence. And he keeps going. He says, people hiding their real face, and each one's running their rat race. And behind each flower there grows a weed in their world of make-believe. Again, he sees the hypocrisy of it. That's what he's calling out. So I can give him that because I've been there. That's what makes us approachable. Some of us have been there. Some of us have sang those songs in the 70s and 80s and 90s and so on and been like, yeah, man, he understands me. Because we've seen the hypocrisy of religious people claiming to be Christians. We've seen the corruption of political people and the policies they enforce. We've seen the chaos in families and communities. And we don't want none of it. We think the answer is just become selfish and take a whole bunch of opioids or have a whole bunch of promiscuous sex and just destroy your life and destroy everyone around you somehow is the answer. There is no God. We're all a bunch of animals. Primordial soup. Never mind all the intricate details and the engineering of creation you see all around you screaming at you that there must be a higher power somewhere. No, suppress all of that. Deny your conscience screaming at you the fact that there is a higher power. No, suppress all that. Push it under the rug and just let's be animals. Yeah, that we once again in history are now seeing the fruits of that model, and it ain't a very peaceful one, is it? People hiding their real face. Yeah, that's true. And as a member of the Lord's Church, added there, when I believed in Christ and submitted my life to him, being immersed, plunged into his body for the forgiveness of sins, being a legal member of his kingdom, not perfect, struggling a great deal with a great many things, but trying every day to be better, like just a human being trying to do what's right. I've seen it. I've seen it in the church. I've seen it behind the pulpit. I've seen it in politicians, in politics. I've seen it everywhere. These people who are hiding their real face. You can accuse me of a great many things, but I assure you what you see of me on social media is really who I am. I'm quite transparent that way. But I've seen some who are not at all what they profess to be. And if you're a rebellious youth and you see that in mom or dad or grandma and grandpa or coworkers or neighbors or friends or whoever, then you see it, you recognize it, and you hate that everyone's pretending it's not real. Well, we just don't want to cause any problems in the community or in the church or in the political realm there at the council. We just, just be quiet about it. No, I want none of those things. So what's the answer? Well, in the rebellious youth, you don't think there is an answer other than be selfish and just do a whole bunch of drugs or something, or do crime or do bad things. Somehow that's going to alleviate the hypocrisy you see all around you? No, it's not going to help at all. You actually need to begin creating a voice and understanding who you are and the purpose of this life. People hiding their real face, and each one's running their rat race. Yeah, I see. He sees it. They write it. They sing it. And behind each flower there grows a weed. There's always something corrupt everywhere. Like it masquerades itself in a certain way, but they're all corrupt. In a world of make-believe. Like it's a fake world. They're all fake people. I don't want to be around fake people. I want to be liberated. I want my mind to be set free. I want to do what I want to do. I don't believe in anything. I don't follow anyone but myself. And again, in a young person who's not been raised with values and true love and the true and loving understanding of the scripture of Christ and who he really was and is, I mean, yeah, this seems to be the way to go. This seems to be the way to go. So it continues, and he says in the lyric, so believe what I tell you. It's the only way you'll find in the end. Because he thinks this is the conclusion. You can't trust these preachers and these religious nut jobs who claim Christianity. You can't trust them. You can't trust the socio-political construct of our community and the religious ways we've been given and the policies that are enforced and all that. You can't trust none of that. You can only trust yourself. Just believe in yourself. Oh, the devil really wrote that one well, didn't he? Just believe in yourself. Trust your own heart. Just do what you want to do. Aren't you tired of being married with children? Yeah. Leave all that behind and go do what you want to do. The destruction of the home, everything, right? You know you really shouldn't have to pretend. Don't let those empty people try and interfere with your mind. Just live your life and leave them all behind. Okay, so obviously there's a great deal of misguided worldview in these lyrics. There's no doubt about that. It's undeniable. But there is also some seeds of truth and understanding. Yeah, I would agree with Black Sabbath. Like, yeah, listen. You don't need to pretend. You don't need to be a fake person. We got enough fake people. We got enough of fake people. Fake people will pretend to be your friends, but they're not. Fake people want something from you. They want to take advantage of you. Fake people, they'll utilize religion for their own selfish ambitions. Politicians do the same thing. It doesn't matter which department of public sector. You'll find those kind of people. Yeah, you don't need to be like them. Matter of fact, you should not be like them. Don't be like them. They are cunning slanderers and liars. Don't be like them. Don't be like Diotrephes. Don't be like them. Don't let those empty people try and interfere with your mind. Don't let them infiltrate your thoughts with psychological manipulation. These people are evil. They are evil people. Don't do it. Just live your life and leave them all behind. Yeah, withdraw from those kind of toxic individuals. Pray for them, love them, pray to God that through the providential path, they will be pierced and challenged into repentance and no longer be these evil individuals, that they'll change. Yeah, by all means, we need to do that as Christians, certainly. But you don't need to be in fellowship with them. No, you are not to be in fellowship with them. We have no business with evil deeds of darkness. Whether they creep in and pretending to be friends or mission workers or preachers or elders or whatever, religious leaders, no, you don't need to follow those kinds. Those kinds. Jesus didn't mess around with them in the first century. Jesus is our master. We follow Jesus' path. So we do what he does as best of our ability. We don't mess around with those people. We love them. We pray for them. Jesus said the same thing. Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem. He loved them. It was his people, his culture. But he wasn't in fellowship with them. And he wasn't going to entertain their evil, lawless ways. They sought the praise of men. They sought their own greed and their own ways. And sadly, that's the pendulum being swung too far in what Black Sabbath is writing. So since we recognize these evil things out there in the religious world and in the political world, we're going to swing the pendulum totally on the other way and just be like, let's just be selfish and do what we want to do and just destroy our lives. Well, that doesn't help either, because you've swung yourself in another lawless direction that's going to have severe consequences as well. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So there is some seeds of truth in the lyric. But an individual has to seek. Matthew 6:33. Seek the truth. That's what I truly find so comforting, laboring alongside the East Coast Church of Christ over here on the East Coast of Canada. Because we are a small and growing group of individuals who recognize what Black Sabbath recognized, the hypocrisy of all these so-called religious individuals who claim to be members of the church, who claim Christianity, but yet are destroying people's lives and are hateful, evil, bittered sowers of discord and things like that. And we tend to blame it all. You know, we paint the broad brush. Yeah, well, I want nothing to do with Christianity because of these people. No, listen, don't do that. I did that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I did that. It's not the right way to do things. It's not the right worldview, man. I'm telling you. Don't do that. Just because you've seen evil people doing evil things, claiming to be Christians, claiming to be a member of a faithful church, they aren't. That ain't it. I assure you, there are numerous locations that claim to be the church that belongs to Jesus. And you walk in there and you stay there for a while, you'll find out these people are filled with hate and division and just self-righteous, pharisaical mess. But that don't mean that they don't represent Jesus. They claim they do, but they don't. So don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Don't give up. There is actually a truth and love to be found, and that is the Christ of the Scriptures. That's when you have to disassociate yourself from all of them that you see as evil, and you just start reading the Scriptures for yourself. Start in the Gospel of Matthew. Turn off all devices and things that would, cause disruption, and start reading. No, you will not understand everything immediately, but you will start understanding some stuff. And one of the preliminary things you will begin to recognize is that the Jesus you're reading about in the New Testament Bible is not the Jesus we were born and raised to believe in. And you start recognizing that the behavioral delinquencies and the evil that is found in religious circles don't represent Jesus whatsoever. As a matter of fact, they have nothing to do with Christ, though they say they do. So don't do that. There are true and genuine churches that are healthy and loving and follow the doctrine of Christ and know who Jesus is. We've been truly blessed to be part of the East Coast church that belongs to Christ over here on the East Coast of Canada, because we cultivate that. We understand that. We've gone full circles in our life, and we've recognized that just because there's evil there doesn't mean there isn't people who are good either. There is good, and there is truth amongst all the lies out there. There is some truth, and you can find it, and you can know it, you can live by it. It's true. It's real. It's the same thing with anything. It's the same thing with politics and politician and government. Are we living in a time in which the corruption is just so blatantly apparent? Yes. Does that mean they're all evil and that there ain't a few of them in there trying to do something good? Yeah, there's a few in them trying to do something good. Christianity, in its true purest form, is good. It allows communities and families to thrive. Doesn't mean we're not going to deal with the ailments of life in this fallen world. There still will always be evil people doing evil things, and sadly, the innocent at times are the receiving end of evil deeds from evil people. There's natural disaster. There's disease. There's things that we have to deal with. That doesn't mean there isn't the truth and what is good. The hearts of of Black Sabbath, when they wrote this, of course, they had already rebelliously stiffened their necks and hardened their hearts. They had seen the hypocrisy of what was claiming to be Christianity. They saw the hypocrisy of what claimed to be government and politics and war, and they just closed themselves off. That means there ain't no good to be found ever. We're just going to do what we want to do, and that's it. And of course, they went on to do a lot of bad stuff and cause a lot of problems in their life because of it. So yeah, that kind of finishes off the song there in the analyzing of it. Just from a blatant, innocent perspective in mind, I mean, again, it's a heavy thumping metal song. I enjoy it greatly. The lyrics, I have a mature mind now to understand exactly what he was saying, why they were saying it, and towards whom they were saying it. And I can I can analyze it in a way that it does not disrupt my conscience. It doesn't have me persuaded to believe now that I somehow have to denounce Christianity and be free. No, I've already done those mistakes in my life. I've seen what that does, and it's a mess. I have the scars forever now with me. But yeah, that brings to a conclusion that song. Please, guys, listen, consider subscribing, liking, sharing, that kind of stuff. It really helps the material move forward. And if you have a song you would like for us to analyze, you can share it with us, and we can drop it in the queue and analyze it in the weeks ahead, Lord willing. If you look at our itinerary from Monday to Friday, you'll find each day has a theme. By all means, check that out. We stream on various platforms and create on various platforms. All of that's available to anyone who would be interested. You can support this work. That's how we function forward. You can certainly sign up to addedsouls.locals.com. It's free to sign up, but you can support the work over there. And there is also the PayPal option, addedsouls@gmail.com. There's also a physical address. You can reach out to me and get that. Any concerns or questions you may have, suggestions, I'm more than happy to welcome them. And I pray that it's doing some good somewheres. I just want to be a servant. I just want to try to help someone somewheres out there who used to be like me, a very rebellious youth, a very crazy-minded individual for so long. There is peace out there. There are answers to your questions. I assure you, there are. And there is the truth away from a great many lies. It exists. It exists. It'll take time. It can take time to find it, but it's there. I know it. I know it. I've seen it. I've learned it. Good stuff. Stay positive. Stay focused, friends. Tomorrow, Lord willing, we'll have our midweek studies. We've been going through the book of Exodus. You might find that quite interesting. Join us 10 a.m. Atlantic Daylight Time for that study tomorrow. Good stuff? All right. Peace out.